All right, and here we go.
Hey,
All
it's
right.
OKO of Twisted Frog Racing. I am here with Dave Logsdon and my dad Jeremy. Hey Dave, thanks for taking the time today to sit and talk with me.
Hey man, I'm really flattered that you asked me.
Before we get into RC racing, can you tell me about your full-size race car you just sold?
Oh, the Celica. Are you talking about that? I sold that car probably 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that. It's been a while.
Oh wait.
It's been a while. So it was a 1977 Toyota Celica. I cut the whole car apart and put it on an really like maybe 1970s Austin chassis, I think, and then stretched it to fit. And then I put a small block Chevy in it, and then built a turbo system with it was cheap Chinese 76 millimeter turbo. I think it was a 60 millimeter wastegate, a 450 Holly, and it was blow through setup, and it ran 980s. And I drove around the street all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a fun little car, but it beat me to death because it was ladder bar rear suspension and coil over front or strut. And my back is not the greatest in the world because I wasn't smart as a kid. and driving around that thing all day would beat me up pretty bad. But it ran 980s. No joke. I would throw a gas can in the back and some tools, drive it to the track, make like 5 or 6 passes, maybe 7 at the most, mostly in the high 9s. If I hit the rev limiter in first gear, it ran 10 teens. If I got out of first gear quick enough, because it run through first gear so fast, it was actually unbelievable how fast it run through first gear. But if it ran through first gear and I hit the limiter, it'd run 10 teens. If I bumped it quick enough, it would run 980s, and it would do it all the time. It was literally a bracket race car, and it made no sense why the car worked so good. It was a pile of junk. It was a pile of junk. I think I had 11 grand total in the whole car, and I drove it all the time.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It was a neat car. I mean, I really kind of proud of that pile of junk, to be honest.
We saw some pictures. I didn't realize that you had sold it that long ago, but
Yeah. I think it came up on memories, and I popped it back in there. I had a coilover come apart, and then I left rear one night. The nut came off the top of the shock, so it just came unglued and turned over. And I think I lifted the front left tire probably almost 4 feet in the air. It just twisted the whole car like that as it went out. It was pretty cool. I wish I had pictures of it because you could see the whole tire over the wall. Like it just twisted the car. Yeah. And I didn't understand what happened. And I got back to the pits and started looking over the car, and the left coilover had come apart. So just turn the whole car over like that.
If you could build any race car, what would you build? If you had unlimited money.
Unlimited money. Any race car? Like, are we trying to go super fast or just any car that I want?
Any race car in the world. Any race car that you can think of.
That's a tough question because I really want to sell the cars that I have right now. And I want a 64 Polara. And then I want to build that with a twin turboed. Seems blasphemous, but I'm probably going to put an LS in it instead of a Mopar motor. I don't know. I'm a Mopar guy, but it's easy to make a lot of horsepower fairly easy, and the parts availability is really good for the LS engine. So I think if I shoved one of those in there, I'm going to get yelled at, but I really love the old 64 Polara.
How different is
I'm into big cars for some reason. I don't know what it is. Or the other one would be a Mazda RX-4. If I wanted to do something similar to the Celica, it'd be a Mazda RX-4.
Okay.
Those are freaking cool.
How different is the competitiveness between a full-size race car and an RC car?
I actually think I'm more competitive mentally with an RC car. With my full-size car, it didn't matter to me. There's always somebody with more money and more this or more that and can go faster. Like, I don't have the kind of money to just make the fastest car in the world. I mean, you watch Street Outlaws, those guys have so much money in their cars, and they're going so fast that it's literally very dangerous. With the toy cars, you can be competitive. I mean, there's some guys that throw a lot of money at it. I do too, but it's a little different. There's no risk really. If you crash your car, what did you do? You broke a $100 chassis, or you tore off a $15 arm. You know what I mean? A lot of people are more aggressive with the RC cars because there's not really much to risk.
Yeah. You crashed, you might have just broken a $2, one of those $2 thingies that attaches the wheel to the chassis and it's not that arm. Or you might explode your $250 ESC.
I've flirted with blowing up ESCs and I've yet to blow one up. I've done some stuff that you're not supposed to do. And if you're careful and you have good, you have to surround the whole thing with the right stuff. So if you've got a really good battery that doesn't drop voltage too far, if the battery doesn't dump voltage too far, then you won't create as much heat. And then a motor that's in good shape and bearings that aren't locked up and stuff like that, the car is free. You can get away with certain things and go a little bit faster. But for the general public, that's not what McLaren recommends because not everybody pays attention to their car like that. So you can get away with some stuff and go really, really fast, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Dave, how did you get started racing off-road RC cars?
How did I get started racing off-road?
Yeah.
Oh, I was racing boats originally. This is kind of how I got into RC. I was racing nitro boats. And I don't remember exactly why I stopped racing them, but I started racing a 10 scale buggy. And we had a local track down in Tucson that was called Hobbytown. And then we also had another track that one of the other guys opened in, like, right down the street from my house called Big Time RC back in the day. And I got into racing off-road, and then, everything tumbled down. I started racing 8 scale. I raced a gas truck, nitro gas truck, stadium truck, 10 scale buggy. I raced everything. The only thing I didn't race, I raced Truggy too. The only thing I hadn't raced is e-buggy.
Cool.
What made you switch to RC drag racing?
I had actually quit racing RC for, like, altogether. Had quit racing RC and was spending more time playing golf. And then Frank Greer down in Tucson was doing the RC drag racing thing, and I was like, kind of looking at it and looked like fun to me. So I kind of asked him some questions, and he told me which kind of direction to start with. Like, what do you use? Do you use, So it was like, okay, you have a buggy arms and everything, and then a short course chassis, and then you stick a body over it. And, we run these tires and you put a wheelie bar on it. It was really simple rules probably 2 years ago. There really wasn't any rules a couple of years ago. And so he told me what I needed to do, and I put one together. And ever since then, I've been hooked. I love it. My wife hates that I'm so into it.
What's your favorite aspect of RC drag racing?
Oh, my favorite aspect?
Successful.
I believe for me, trying to go a little bit faster or trying to make the car go straight or just little things like that. Like when your car spins out, it's not fun. Like you try and figure out why it did that. Or, or some of the guys that come up and say, I guess they help you out. Like your car's doing this because you got this set up this way. There's a lot of camaraderie with it. There's a reason why the Arizona guys are fast, is because the guys that have already got it figured out keep helping out the guys that don't have it figured out.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's really neat that the guys that don't get it get helped out pretty quick rather than left out in the wind for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them will. It just depends on their attitude. If they're out there trying, somebody's going to come up and help them.
Awesome.
Somebody, any one of the fast guys is going to come up and help them. I'm not saying I'm a fast guy. I keep getting my butt whooped lately. So.
Are you going to race off-road again?
I'm not sure. If I win this little bet I got going on with my wife, I might buy an off-road car.
All right.
I won't talk about the bet, but either way.
Okay. How did you first meet Colin Branch?
I raced off-road with Colin Branch in Tucson. We used to live in Tucson together. And there was that little place called Hobbytown, and we both raced. I don't think Colin raced out he just raced 8-scale, if I remember right back then. So we raced 8-scale buggy together, nitro buggy, back then. And he was pretty fast. But his cars were always good. And he knew what to do with it, and he was always personable and just generally a nice guy, Canadian.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. They're polite, eh?
Yeah.
Colin's a good dude. I love that guy.
Yeah.
But that's how I met him, is racing off-road at Hobbytown in Tucson.
Just so we all know, what chassis and electronics did you run at King of the Streets 2021?
King of the Streets, I ran a ERC Gap 6. So Evolution Racing Concepts Gap 6. I had modified it a little bit to accommodate for the battery that I was running at that race. What was the other question? You said, in electronics. I ran the McLaren DRK and the McLaren 3.5 turn motor and a prototype McLaren battery.
Okay.
What front and rear shock oil weights do you use?
Oh, at that race, what did I do that race? I think I messed up a little bit. But it was mostly tires that I messed up. But I think I had, let me think. I think I had 400 CST in the front and 3,000 in the rear, which I think was too stiff for how cold it was. I have a tendency to like to run a pretty stiff rear shock oil because I run a pretty sticky tire prep. And then I run the battery pretty far forward. So I was basically depending on the tires sticking enough to lift the front and put pressure on the rear tires. And it just didn't work out for me the second pass. I messed up. My first pass was beautiful. My test pass was beautiful. My first pass against Jonathan Schultz, even though he broke his car, I don't know who would have won there, but he popped his car on the line, and my car went right down the road perfect. So I left everything alone, and I was like, I'm just going to run it like this. And something happened. My car tires were too cold. I did something. I'm used to running back to the pit and doing everything right away, so I don't forget anything. And when you sit around for 4 hours waiting for your next pass, it was something evaporated out of my tire prep or whatever happened. But it literally did a U-turn right there at the line, and I was like, that's it. I was done. So my focus on that after that was helping Todd and making sure that he didn't mess with his car, because he really wanted to turn it up, and I was telling him not to do it. Don't do it. Along with many other people were telling him not to mess with his car. His car was beautiful. So.
What diff fluid do you usually run?
JB Weld.
Gets me every time.
Not 5-minute epoxy. I run JB Weld. I think it's a little softer. To be honest, if there's any science to it, I think it's a little softer, and I don't think it's as brittle as epoxy. So there might be something to that. I don't know, but it works good. It'll lock the diff right up.
So, did you run the new 5-stage setup in the McLaren DRK or the old 3-stage?
I ran the 5. I did run the 5. I'm actually very fond of the 5-stage. There's been some instances on really high traction where you could run the 3. But you can still run the 3-stage with the 5-stage software. All you have to do is wherever your 100% is where your 100%. It doesn't matter. So if you wanted to put 100% in at the 3rd stage, you're already there. And then you set your 4th and 5th at 100. And as soon as it hits 100, then you can set your turbo position at 100 and all that stuff. It's still working as a 3-stage, 4-stage, 5-stage, or even 6 if you put a turbo delay in. So if you delay the turbo, then you actually have 6 stages.
Any setup tricks you have for the McLaren DRK?
What kind of tricks? What do you mean?
Like tips or tricks? Like
tricks?
Yeah, like what settings to use.
What was the question?
Any setup tips or tricks you have for the McLaren DRK?
Generally, I think the best thing to do is do some test passes and find out how much power it will take off the hit without spinning. Okay.
Okay.
And then hold that power for probably 0.3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then start ramping everything in as quick as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So get the car to leave. If it leaves straight, then ramp in everything as fast as you can. And if it breaks loose, or you'll see it on the data where it spins the tires or hits the battery too hard, start ramping it in as fast as you can and get to 100%, and then put your turbo in as quick as you can without hurting the battery voltage.
Okay.
That's pretty much
how you set up.
6 foot time is important. If you can get the car to leave as hard as you can, that makes up for a lot. And then if you can ramp everything in after that, and then throw the turbo in as smooth as you can, so you don't hit the battery too hard and keep the voltage up where it belongs, the car's going to be fast. As long as the gearing and everything. I mean, there's a lot of different things that go into that. But if your car's in a perfect world, if your car is just going to dead hook and go, that's what you want to do.
Dave,
And then
What?
if you want to go a little bit faster, you just shorten those delay times. So if the car will stick, instead of 0.3, you go to 0.2 in between your shifts, and then 0.1 towards the latter ones, and then no delay, and ramp the turbo in as fast as you can. That'll pick up speed, but it really depends on the road.
Dave, what is your fastest pass ever?
I just did my fastest pass ever last week at a 199.
Yes.
Yes!
I did a 199. I was pretty much jumping up and down kind of on the inside because whatever. It was a weird pass. I actually used up a bunch of the road, was all over the place, and still ripped a 199. I couldn't believe it.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of the guys out here are extremely fast. And the reason why I am getting fast is because of these guys. There's no doubt that the way that Arizona team helps each other is the reason why there's more than one guy that runs that. There's not one guy that runs 1.9s. There's 10 of them. It's pretty amazing. But I managed pulling off. I've been trying for a while, and I managed to use up the whole road. And I think I was off the throttle when I went through the lights because it was only at like 63 miles an hour or something like that. So I must have been out of the trigger because I had to drive the car from like all the way from the right lane back through my side.
Wow.
It was a buy run. And I ran it way over to the right side and then drove it back through the left and still ran a 199. So it might have been a really dang good pass if it would have went straight. But yeah, it's just the guys out here help each other enough to where a lot of us are fast.
Yeah.
A lot of us are fast. Nobody's getting left out in the dirt. There's no guys that are running 250s and just getting hung out to dry, and nobody's giving them help. They run 250s one day, and then somebody goes over there and gives them a hand, and then they're running 230s and 220s. You know what I mean? And then after a month or two of them showing up all the time, they've kind of got a grasp on it, and they start sorting it out on their own. And next thing you know, those guys are running 2 teens, which is me as well. I mean, that's how what happened with me. I have some knowledge of RC, but the guys out here help each other.
That's awesome.
And Todd Solterra, for sure, is a really good guy. He's so fast. Anyway.
Dave, is there a reason you run pink cars?
I don't remember how. Basically, it's my favorite color. Like hot pink is my favorite color, and I started running it back when I ran off-road 10th scale, and I've just always had pink on my cars. The reason why I don't have so much pink on my cars is because everybody complains that I leave it all over the track. That Tamiya pink, for some reason, flakes off so easy. And so now I'm just going to probably stick with white bodies with a pink wing. And then when I crash, I don't get complaints about pink paint all over everybody's tires. Jack Clover gives me a hard time all the time because he's like, there's pink paint on my tires. I'm like, I'm sorry. Because if I smack a wall, there's pink paint everywhere.
What was it like to race at King of the Streets?
Oh, that was a different experience. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I thought it was going to be kind of terrible. Turned out to be pretty awesome, aside from the weather. The race program was almost flawless, other than like checking in and stuff like that. That took a while. Like until the girls got into the groove, it was pretty slow. But once I got into it, it was like everybody was going. I don't think I would change anything other than weather, to be honest. It was a great time. It was a lot of fun. You know, I went out second round, so you know, my day was over after, I don't know, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it was. But I focused on helping Todd and making sure he had everything he needed. And, you know, if anybody had any questions for me, which wasn't very often, I mean, there was a bunch of McLaren drivers there. So, and of course, Tim was there. So why do they want to ask me anything? You know, but it was a really neat deal. I fully intend on doing it again. Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was a good time.
I remember the video of Tim calling in a bunch of other McLaren drivers trying to drive their dragsters down the carpet hall.
I did try, and I smashed into somebody's door, and we all ran out of the hotel. We ran into the room so we couldn't get caught. I tried to push my car down the hallway and just turn left, right, and just nose buckled it right into the door. It was boom, and we all grabbed the car, grabbed our stuff, and ran in the ring. Yes, we did do some hallway drag racing. It was a good time. The whole McLaren team meeting, driver test, all that stuff. That was probably one of the most fun RC experiences I've had in a long time. We got rained out. We set up tents in a parking lot of some place because you weren't allowed to eat in the restaurant. So we set up the easy ups in the parking lot, and the storm came in and it was crazy. And you know, you got Tim's story about the crazy dude with the messed up hand and all that stuff. It was just a good time.
Do you play a little safe, or did you let the big dog eat?
I was actually kind of playing it safe. I had a 223 or something like that on my practice pass, or on the pass when I raced John. I thought that was plenty. And just, I did something wrong with my tires and it didn't stick the next time. I had a 220 car, went right down the road like nothing, straight as an arrow, and I messed up. I mean, that's all I can say. I messed up. I had a decent car. for the race.
Is there
If I let the big dog eat, it would have made a quicker U-turn than it did before.
Is there anyone you want to call out today? Someone that you want to race against?
Not exactly. I want to go out to California and race Johnson and Schultz because I feel like he blew his car up basically doing the burnout. And I'm curious to know if I could run with the kid. I know he's good. He had his battery charged right to the max, and I can't believe he came up to tech with his battery charged up that high. It was 844 on the nose. I'm like, oh my God, you're flirting. Like, I don't know why you would do that, but I want to race that kid. I'll probably drive out to San Diego and race him at some point in time.
End of July, the Nationals. Bunch of guys are going to be there.
Oh, okay. Where's that race at?
I'll send you the flyer. It's put on by Kyle Christie and his crew.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know the road. I know the roads they're going to run on. Yeah. I can get down that road.
We'll be there. That'll be his first California trip.
Yeah, no kidding. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah,
remember
if they're racing out are they racing out in, what is that town called? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I have the flyer though. I'll put it in the link below and I'll send it to you.
Okay, that's perfect. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'd like to race. Like to race Jonathan just because I want to know if he'd have got around me or not.
So we're making it official. You're calling John out at that race.
Jonathan, not John.
Or Jonathan. Jonathan. All right.
Jonathan.
Got it.
Not really calling him out, just giving him a chance to redeem himself. He blew his stuff up on the line.
I get it. No, that's fair. That's fair.
And I'd like to know if I would have been able to beat him or not. Because he was the only one that I was actually worried about. In my ladder, I looked at it and I thought if I can get around Jonathan, I've got a chance to go at least 3 rounds before I run into some guys that everybody's worried about type of thing.
Right.
And I took myself out. But had I not, I could have gone a couple rounds. Let's put it that way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been cool. I messed up.
It seems like many people are concerned about big money RC racing. What are your thoughts?
As far as the money goes, it brings a lot of people. It brings excitement to the race. It can bring the ugly out in people, but it still makes the race big. And when you've got people that run the race like Coy, and especially Coy, who's very assertive and is very clear on the rules, there's nothing to argue about. When you mess up, you're done. And then people understand that and they just kind of shut up and walk away. So it doesn't seem to get as ugly as what you would think it would. Like I thought it would get kind of mean. I thought some people were going to throw a fit, and that's not what happened. You have a really good race director who is very clear about the rules, and that's it. If you messed up, you messed up. You're done.
Even
Yeah, you're fine. Ask him.
we've all been asking it, hobby action RC or desert hobbies?
Hobby action or desert hobbies? That's such a loaded question. I like both those guys. I've known James Gallatin for probably, if I had to guess, at least 10 years. He's a good guy. He's helped me out with a lot of things. Desert Hobbies is a new up-and-comer, and they're just trying. And they're very good at marketing. And I'm not on either one's team. There's not a team between those two. There's not really a rivalry in my mind between the two. It's just like, if you got the part, I'll go buy it. I'd rather buy local than order online. Mm-hmm. So if you got the stuff in the shop, I'll come buy it.
Before we go, was there anything else you wanted to add, or is there anyone else you want to thank?
Well, I love RC drag racing a lot. If I had to list everybody that's helped me, I'm probably going to miss somebody, but I'll tell you. Frank Greer, James Gallatin, Todd Saltero. Let me think. Mark Vine. I mean, like everybody that's ever had any kind of like thing between them, I'm friends with all of them, and they've all helped me. So I don't know who else to thank there. No, I don't really know who else. I'm terrible. I'm bad at names. And but yeah, the big guys that you've all heard of have all helped me in some way or form. Colin Branch, Tim Smith, Colin Branch especially. Holy crap. Look at
McLaren.
I'm a McLaren driver. Are you kidding? Yeah. Yeah. I'm a McLaren driver because of Colin Branch. Colin Branch did that for me. Coy and Todd got me hooked up with MKS servos. And then now I recently became a royalty manufacturing driver for their chassis.
Nice.
So I'm switching out from the ERC chassis. I'm going to be running a royalty chassis soon. I believe they're in the mail. I bought a new kit, waiting for it.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm excited about it. It's a really nice chassis. It's not a bunch of bells and whistles. It's a very simple layout, but should be fairly efficient.
Dave, thanks for taking your time today to talk with us. Today's interview was brought to you by McLaren Racing. To all those listening, please like my Facebook page, Twisted Frog Racing, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Twisted Frog. Go McLaren!